Baltimore Ravens select Jimmy Smith, defensive back, Colorado.
I think a shutdown corner is a all-around corner, one that's going to support in the run game, one that's going to lock down inside the field.
Ravens rush 4, quick slide, picked off. Ravens have it. Jimmy Smith, his first NFL interception. Manning under pressure, throws near sideline. It is deflected and intercepted. Jimmy Smith has it, and he's going in for a touchdown. Jimmy Smith weaves it to the end zone. And Jimmy Smith, the first-round draft pick, pulled it in.
Baltimore!
4th and goal from the 5. Kaepernick lob to the end zone. Incomplete. Ray Lewis and the defense deliver and stop the 49ers at the 5. Down goes Goff. Jimmy Smith. Deflected and intercepted. Picked off. Jimmy Smith took the deflection. What a play.
If this is it, you definitely appreciate it, you know? It's 11 years. I'm gonna miss a stadium erupting. I'm gonna miss that feeling, like being a football player. Well, I knew one thing for sure, I was only gonna play for one team. I knew my heart was here, so the decision wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be, but it is hard. Thanks. All right, I jotted a lot of notes down because I got a lot of thank yous. So just bear with me for a minute. Hey, my name is Jimmy Smith. Played 11 years in the NFL, and I'm very proud of it. I first would like to start off by thanking Steve Bisciotti, Ozzie Harbaugh.
We go together.
Steve, Ozzie, DeCosta, Harb, they took a chance on me with the first round pick. Obviously, a lot of people know that I had a couple of, I would call them orange flags. I don't know if they're red. But I had a couple of red flags coming out, and people had worries and certain inquiries about me. And I walked into the office with them, and it was probably just like being at home. It was just like they seen right through everything. They knew I was telling the truth. They knew what type of person I was. They knew I was immature, but I had to grow still. But they were willing to take a chance on me, and that chance changed my life. So I'm forever grateful because I had a lot of ups and downs, obviously, and as a person and a player. And they stuck right by me. They kind of epitomized loyalty a little bit. And that was something that was major to me. Second, I want to thank my mom because without her, obviously, I wouldn't be here. But she made a way for us growing up no matter what the circumstance. She's always delivered for us. She had to make some very incredibly tough decisions, raising 7 kids, 5 boys and 2 girls. Things weren't always easy, but she always handled it. And we never knew that, we were struggling. Like, we were the kids that, we didn't have everything, but you couldn't have told us. I didn't know that Payless shoes wasn't cool. I didn't know Rawlings weren't nice. But she always made a way for us. She always made it so that we didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? Like, it was always good for us. I also put this, you raised us all to understand the importance of family and being a good, honest person, and you succeeded. Thank you for always being there for us, Mom. I love you. That's for my mama. To my coaches and teammates, this is in no particular order. To my coaches and teammates that I've built strong relationships with, you guys are made with going to work easy. The guys that showed up, Chuck, Gino, Key, Marlo, Chris. Chris has been my coach probably longer than anybody besides Harbaugh has been my coach, to be honest. Built very, very strong relationships over time, and those are the relationships that, will last a lifelong. Taught me a lot about being a man, being more mature. I mean, it just goes on and on how much you guys have poured into my life, and I'm very grateful for that. Next is, I want to give a special thanks to my oldest brother, Ryan. This one is very dear to me because without him, I never would have played football. I'll just give you a story, forget the notes. Growing up, I was a basketball player. I liked Michael Jordan, I liked Kobe Bryant. I wanted to be a hooper. And, you know, situations occurred where I ended up living with my brother in 8th grade, and he literally sat me down and was like, you have two choices. You either play football or you get straight A's. And I'm not saying I'm an idiot, but straight A's seemed like a tough job at that time. So football was the way to go. And I remember putting on my pads the first day ever. I just felt like a toothpick out there. And my first tackling drill ever, I was going against the county's best running back. That just came out of 7th grade, I guess. I don't know, this guy was a beast. And I remember tackling him, and all of my left side went numb. I didn't know what a stinger was at this time. I thought I broke everything. Mind you, I'm coming from basketball. We don't do this. So it was like one of those, like, are you sure? I don't know. Straight A's is looking a little bit easier than tackling this kid forever. But me and my brother Ryan have started this journey from the very beginning at 13. He brought us out to Oklahoma, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, had us training hot days at the school called East Central High School, running laps, doing all this kind of stuff. And at that point, it really didn't seem like there was a goal, really. Like, yeah, I'm listening to my brother. I admire my brother. I looked up to him. He wanted me to do this. I was doing it. And he's also the one that kind of put it in my head, like, you can move. You can do this. Like, you'll be good at this. You're 6'2", or at the time I was like 5'9", but after my freshman year, I grew, shut up, whatever. I was like 6'2", and he just was the guy that always told me, you 6'2" corners, they're gonna make it first round. They're gonna make it first round. So I get to college, and I meet my lovely wife in Hopi Navajo studies class, AKA the class you're just supposed to get an A in, that one. And fell in love. And I used to tell her all the time, and my teammates, and they hated me for this. They really, like, coach called me up to the office, like, you gotta shut up, you don't even play yet, and you're telling everybody you're gonna be a first rounder. And it was like, okay, well, just listen to what my brother told me. And this goes back to why I'm saying thanks to my brothers, because he's the one that instilled into me how to thrive at this, how to keep going, how to just believe in yourself. And me getting drafted in the first round was my ultimate goal. My wife didn't even know what it meant when I was screaming at her, like, I'm about to be a first round, about to be a first round. And she's looking like, you know, you're a special teamer right now. So, you know, good luck with that. But 5 years later, 4.5 years later, it was really a dream come true, and that's because, you know, these guys obviously took that chance on me. So I want to have to give a special shout out to my brother, Ryan, because I would have never touched a football had it not been for him and, you know, his guidance. He knew exactly, like, yo, you're 6'2" and you play center. That's not good for basketball. To my wife, it's been quite a journey meeting at 19 years old in the class I just said. Having our own family, we used to tell each other all the time, you know, I was gonna go first round, a special teamer. You never understood that not throwing me, you never understood that teams not throwing me the ball was a good thing in college. All you knew was that you were there and you would support me, and that's all you've done for the past 15 years. I know you're sad now today because I ruined your game days of now. Game day was just as much as your day as it was mine. You started up, you got up in the morning, you cooked me 2 fillets, blueberries, almonds, the same thing, back rub. Like, you took care of me, you made sure, and it's been going on for as long as I can remember. You always believed in me, even though you didn't know what the heck was going on. You believed in me, and I know I'm taking away now your game days. For my dad, one of my favorite memories of my dad is he used to take me out when I first started playing baseball. I was like 8 years old, and my dad used to take me out, and I played catcher. And he's a baseball player. He does not do football. And anybody who knows my dad, you know my dad. He used to take me out there, and he used to pitch to me, like, and I mean, he used to throw the ball so hard, so fast, my hand would hurt, and I was like terrified to catch this ball. I was like sitting there like, I can't, but just going out there to play catcher, my dad had me, you know, I kept doing it, I kept going, but he used to go out there every day, and it seemed like every day he would get even harder with his passes, even more juice. And then now we have a very tight relationship, and I asked him, like, why did you used to, like, try to kill me? I feel like he's about to, if I missed one of these balls, my teeth were gone or my eye was out. Like, this is how hard he threw the ball. And he's just like, I just wanted to see when you were going to quit, but you never did. And that was such a lesson for me, was playing corners. You about to face some dudes that when you watch, you see, hey now, they're gonna come after you, you know what I mean? And one thing that my dad instilled in me very young was like, no matter what it is, no matter how much tougher it gets, every time we do this, you just keep going, you just keep fighting. So I wanna thank him especially for that. To my brothers, it's a lot of them, they taught me how to play football, Sharice and Alan. If it wasn't for you guys in high school being so dedicated, motivated to stick to what you believed in playing football, it rubbed off on me so much because I wasn't that guy. I was really thinking I could play basketball still at 6'2". And they were so dedicated and focused on what they had to do that it rubbed off on me in such a way that I was like, I wanted to be great like them. All of what they did, all the accolades that they accumulated, it made me thirsty for that as well. It made me want to, be on the same level as them. So for them, and on top of that, we all get drafted the same year. Keith, it was just a blessing to have friends that had the same mindset because it helped me follow the lane a lot easier. Kyle, Rose, and Ronnie. Rose, love you. So for you guys, it was, taking care of my body, and I had a lot of downs with this body, but you guys kept me together. You guys, 3 times, 4 times a week, whatever we had to do, you guys made sure that I was always ready, even though sometimes some of these injuries took away some of my confidence at times, and you guys were always there for me, no matter what, pumping me up, making sure I was always good. I don't think that you know how instrumental you were to my success. But I want to let you know right now that it was key. That's why I invited you here. But that's a big portion of my career because obviously I went through a lot of ups and downs as far as getting injured and not being able to play and then trying to figure all that stuff out. To Donnie, she's not here, but to Donnie, I want to thank her because she helped Jimmy Smith, the man, when I was going through some of my darkest times as an adult. She helped me mature and see things in a different light. Sometimes I could not see past this table of what the future would hold for me because some of the choices that I had made. And she was kind of that guiding light to help me see further than what I could see. And I can't even explain to you how many times she's gotten me out of thinking the wrong thing and doing the wrong thing. So for her, I'm just truly thankful, and she takes care of me and my entire family, and she's truly a blessing to have in this world. And the last thing I guess I'll say is to all the Ravens fans, I'll forever miss making plays at the bank. I love playing for you guys. I truly appreciate the love and support that I get when I see you around Baltimore. I got stopped at Shell gas station the other day, and everybody knows I got robbed that one time. So I'm pumping gas. It's a true story. This is like 3 days ago. I'm pumping gas. A guy pulls into a non-parking spot, and he just pulls in. I'm just looking like, whoa, red lights. What's going on? He gets out. He has everything on but his suit jacket. So I'm like, okay, I'm a little more comfortable, right? But there was 2 other guys that were staring, one at the pump and then one over just standing by the thing. And I'm just like, well, this is pretty crazy. Why they're all looking at me? I'm nervous. I'm out here pumping gas at 8 in the morning. I mean, not pumping gas, pumping air. So the guy walks up and he's like, Jimmy? And I'm like, hey, how you doing? You know me? He's like, man, we love you, blah, blah, blah. It's like the love that, you receive that type of love from the Ravens fans. And it's everywhere. It's in my dentist's office. It's at the barbershop. It's anywhere you go. And one thing I'll say about the Ravens fans base is they're very honest, but they're very loyal. And they respect us, they love us, and they'll die for us. It's no other fan base like it. I guess that's pretty much all I really got to say.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Good job. Good job. Great job.
So what I would say is back in 2010, when Jimmy came out, I was I think I was the college director of scouting. And so I would travel all over the country. And back then, I was in Boulder. I think it was probably in October, mid-October. And I remember three things about that day. The first thing was I got a parking ticket on campus for $75. And, I wasn't going to be able to expense that ticket, so I was in trouble. The second thing was Charlie Casserly was with me that day, scouting players, and he was the GM, I think, at the time of the Texans. And then the third thing was Colorado played Georgia that year, and I think the score was 29-27. I think Georgia won. And I think A.J. Green was on that team, along with the receiver that we had here, Marlon Brown, I think, was on that team too. And I think A.J. Green had 7 catches for about 150 yards maybe. But Jimmy competed that day, and we have a type. We had a type with John. We've had a type going way back at corner, even before John was our head coach. And Jimmy really did kind of epitomize what we were looking for at that position. So as I would do, I came back to Baltimore and went down to see Ozzie and said, Ozzie, I got a guy for you. And not every single year, but most years I typically will give Ozzie some guys to look at early in the year that end up being really players on our radar. And Jimmy was that guy that year. So we went through the process. Obviously, that draft was complicated. That was the year that Steve's not here, but if Steve were here, he would say that was the year that the Bears didn't consummate the trade with us in 2011 draft. We thought we had a deal with the Bears to trade back a few spots, and we were going to get a pick. We got jumped, and my biggest fear was not necessarily losing the pick, but that we might lose Jimmy. And we were afraid we were going to lose Jimmy. But fortunately, we were able to get Jimmy. It was a very strong draft for us that year. And the last thing I would say, I just think that to finish where you start is a beautiful thing in professional sports. A lot of guys don't get the chance to do it. And I'm very happy that Jimmy had the chance to do that here as a Baltimore Raven.
Just follow up on that, maybe pick up the story. So Ozzie calls me in mid-season. We were, you guys, if you remember, we were looking for corners for about 3 years. And Ozzie goes, I got one. You're going to like this guy. And he shows me Jimmy Smith coming off the edge against a nub front, hitting a sweep in the backfield. I'm like, well, that's a good start. Marlon, that's a good start. And then we saw the rest, and we were excited right up until the draft after watching him. And then fast forward, I think it was your rookie year, was the Super Bowl year? Second year. So what was the injury you had?
My rookie year?
The Super Bowl year.
Sports hernia.
Sports hernia, that's right. So I remember it well. So sports hernia, and you were frustrated, right? And couldn't go for a while, and he started coming back, and we're having a conversation, and it wasn't quite right, but we're going to work him back in the lineup through special teams. And Jimmy's out there playing special teams, playing gunner, playing vice. Chris, you remember. And doing a good job, doing a heck of a job. But he was so mad because he'd run down the field, Ronnie's shaking his head, and then he'd have to be off for, 10 minutes or whatever it was before the next special teams play, and he'd be tightening up, and I'm over on this bike, and I can't play. Just put me on IR. Just put me on IR. This is ridiculous. Mad. You never get like that, do you?
There's a little ego there.
But was doing a good job. And I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I said, you stick with this, all right? You just keep pushing through this, and by the end of the season, you're going to make the play that wins us the Super Bowl.
This is not a lie. I did not believe him. This is not a lie.
Okay, you remember the last 4 plays in the Super Bowl from the 5-yard line when he made the plays? One of them was on that highlight tape right there, man. That came true, and I would just say, since then, the friendship that we had a chance to kind of grow through all the different things that happened, the good things, the challenging things, the crazy things like we're going through right now as a team that we just fought through and came out the other end on, is what forges these kind of relationships and friendships that make football so amazing. And I appreciate you as a friend, everything you ever did for us as an organization, but more than that, just as a friend and a family man. And congratulations on that.
One other question. Just the Super Bowl plays, are those the ones that you think stand out the most to you and forever will?
I mean, they'll be the ones that probably go down in history the most. But no, there's plenty of plays I could think of that, you know, that I loved that happened in all kinds of games, you know.
Jimmy, what ultimately went to your decision to finally to make the final decision to retire?
Ultimately, my body. I've been through too many injuries, and it was always, I always had a sense of, I felt like I'm always trying to get back to even. Like, you coming off of Achilles, you're coming off of Liz Frank, you know, you go right into there, and it's not like I get to go against number 3 all the time. It's like I'm going against the top guy. So it was always like an uphill climb for me to especially coming fresh off an injury. It was like trying to get back to just being who I was before, and that was it was a battle early on, but as later as it gets, you kind of, it becomes much more tougher, and my body kept doing it. Then I get that freaking ankle injury last year, and it's like I'm kind of over just having to battle back constantly, you know?
With that in mind, how much pride do you take in being on a pretty short list as far as longevity? I mean, you played 11 seasons. There aren't many guys that played longer for the Ravens. How much pride do you take in that, understanding what you went through with so many challenges?
I mean, I take tremendous pride. I know it's a little bit of them believing in me as well. They could have easily been like, you know what, this guy's hurt, I'm done. But they stuck with me, and it showed me as a man, like, okay, they're being loyal to you. You come out here and bust your butt, do whatever you can to do to get back on the field. And that was always my mentality, was like, I just want to get back on the field, get back on the field, get back on the field. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I do take major pride in the fact that I played for one organization forever. It shows just the loyalty, like being a Leo. Like, that's how we thrive. You know, we like that. So, you know.
You're shaking your head down here.
At the end of last year, I think you mentioned talking to Villanueva coming off the field after the last game, and he was wistful about this being the end of it. Did you know then that, or did you appreciate then that might be the last time you played as well, or had you not thought that through the end?
No, I definitely thought about it for sure. But I don't know. I wasn't necessarily. I can't say that I was necessarily sure until, you know, this moment exactly right now. Like when you're actually retired. You know, I didn't think I'd get emotional about it and all that, and then I see this video this morning. I'm like, what the heck? Like, I did, you know, you don't know. But I'm very proud of my career. I'm very proud that I had to battle back. I mean, obviously, he had a speech the other night at one of our main guy, OJ's birthday, and he kind of compared life and football as the same, and it's like, no matter what happens, things just happen. You know, life just happens, and for me in my career, I had never been injured until I got to the NFL, so once I finally get to the dream job, all of a sudden this adversity hits every single way, and it's like my first play, as you remember, my first play in the NFL was somebody falling on my ankle, getting a high ankle sprain. You know, and that kind of, didn't know then, but that would be kind of what I would go through for years, is just injuries and battling back. So I'm very proud of the fact that I got to stay here. They believed in me. I know it's both ways. It takes my talent and who I am, and it also takes their belief in me to get it done. But yeah, definitely one of the things I'm more proud of is the fact that I made it this far at one organization.
I mean, was there a point in your career where you just decided that this was going to be the only place you played for? I'm sure you had calls from different teams in recent off seasons.
After my second contract ended was when I had the most interest, I guess. I tried to like flaunt it a little bit so they'd give me some more. They didn't care, but they also knew, you know, like, they're like, sure, but here's what you're gonna get. I'm like, I'll take it today. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a big thing for me to have been here. I watch players go, and I probably have the draft class that might go down in Hall of Fame history. Like, we had so many great players, and every single one of them played for another team now, and I'm kind of happy that I'm the one that stuck it out. You know, it just shows, I don't know, it shows a lot to me. The commitment, you know what I mean, just the focus that I had to have to be on one team, and also thinking, hey, like a lot of players always feel, hey, I can go get a lot more money over here. And for me, it wasn't necessarily money. Like I wanted to be with family and comfortable and be around people that loved me and knew who I was. So I never really thought like, oh, I'm about to go out here and no disrespect to the Browns again. They get mad at me about this, but I wasn't about to go play for some random Browns, you know, like I wasn't about to go do something like that.
For Jimmy and John both, you guys both talked in recent years about the bond that you built up over the years. Obviously, that doesn't always happen in this league because, as you mentioned, Jimmy, I mean, most guys switch teams. I mean, why do you think that ultimately worked as well as it did?
I think that when you have a good coach, he should be a great mentor, and the players should follow. Like, if you're a good coach, your players look up to you. And Harbaugh obviously epitomizes that. He showed me more, just kind of based on the story that he told you a minute ago about the whole, you know, Super Bowl situation. It's like he knew these things, and I didn't believe in him. Jada? But he believed in it. He believed in me. And Coach is very honest. He'll come up and tell you immediately what you did wrong, or he'll text you, play 47. You did this. Like he's that guy. And
The DVs are loud.
it don't. But the relationship was. In the very beginning, you know, you just get to know your coach. He's a coach. And then all of a sudden, as you get older, you become more of a man and you understand the business and they trust you. Then the bond becomes stronger because now you can talk about life. When I was going through some of the off-the-field issues I had, like, we would just talk about that. We didn't even talk about football. And we have a big game coming up this week. He would make sure that my mind was ready, period, in life, than necessarily always football. And when you have a coach that's a really good coach, like I said, he's a mentor, you want to follow that. So a lot of the things that I came in here and he preached week in and week out for 11 years that some of the young players are like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, I've been hearing this forever, but now it's ingrained in me and it's part of who I am. It's part of what helped me mature to become a man.
Is there something in particular that you're most looking forward to now with all your, hopefully, newfound free time and everything?
No. I get to spend a lot of time with the kids, but, you know, they're in school now, so now it's just me and Lindsay in the house staring at each other. I play a lot of Saints Row right now. I started my no, not a lot going on right now.
What has it been like for you to watch the games?
It's hard. It's hard because I want to win, and I still feel like I'm part of the team. You know, like I'm still there. I'm still in the room like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, it's actually more anxious now to watch a game than it used to be to play it. Because at least I had something to do with that outcome. But now, like, I don't know, I love watching them play. I want to see them win. I'm out here telling Lindsay every play, like, look, you see that? You see this? That, you know what that signal is? They put the plate, like, it's 4x1. Watch the screen right here. Like, yeah, I'm like that. My brain still clicks in that way, though.
What part of the game do you think was the hardest for you to retire from, that you missed the most?
Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't the physicality. But the hardest part of the game is honestly, it's really the brotherhoods, the friendships that you make. You get, like I said, you get good coaches, you get Chris, you get Harbaugh, you get these people that are in your life, and it's like, I'm so used to being in this locker room with people and chopping it up and having fun and all this, and then all of a sudden it's just like it's gone. You know, and that part is a little bit different. Obviously, I'm gonna come around a lot more and start being around, but it's the camaraderie, the memories you make, the big wins, the flights home from big wins are something I'll always miss. Like, those are just epic. You get that win, you know, you have a nice time on the plane, and it's excellent.
We've seen how kind of injuries can be a drag on some players' career, but you know, when Jimmy got himself to a place where he was healthy, even toward the end of his career, I guess what did it say about him as a player that he was still one of the better cornerbacks, you know, on Baltimore, if not the NFL?
Oh yeah, I mean, you have to overcome that, you know. And the guys that you kind of start learning. We have guys like that sitting in this row right here, but guys that want to be on the field. You know, Jimmy wanted to be on the field. He was going to find a way to get himself out there one way or another. You know, and right to the very end, that's the thing that you always appreciated. He was a football player. You know, and football players want to play football. And you know, I was happy when he was out there. I can tell you that. You know, and even if he wasn't 100% all the time, his 80 or 90% was better than most every other guy's 100%, you know, and it says a lot.
Jimmy, what do you want Ravens fans to remember of your time in Baltimore?
That's pretty difficult to answer. I don't know. I want to be remembered as the type of player that I was, obviously. I know I went through a lot of injuries and I wasn't always there to suit up, but I want them to remember the type of player I was when I was out there, what I brought to the team. I mean, I'm a jokester. I like to have fun. I like to kid and, be too candid at times. But ultimately, I just want them to remember, like, championship.
Jimmy, you brought up your upbringing, how it took you a little bit to mature. How fulfilling is it to know that you made mistakes, but you were still able to win a Super Bowl and ultimately sit here and retire kind of on your own terms?
Oh, man, the life progression has been tough, but one that I can look back and be proud of, because I needed every one of those things that happened to me for me to become who I am today, for me to become the dad that I am, the husband that I am. All those things had to happen. So obviously I wish I could regret some of them, not have it happen, but without those instrumental things happening to me, I don't think I'd be the man that I am today.
If I could just interject one story. We talked about this the other night. Jimmy, I don't know if you remember this, but when Jimmy came in for the visit, there was a lot of reports about him, and it was all nothing big. It was just kind of little stuff here and there, like you said, immature type stuff. But there was a notebook, right? And Steve Bisciotti put a notebook together of these different like scouts reports and things like that were like the red flags or the orange flags that Jimmy was talking about. And one thing Steve told me, and you told me, he said to you was, This is the narrative, or this is the story right now. So when you retire at the end of your career, there's going to be a new notebook. What's it going to say? What's going to be in it? I get kind of goosebumps thinking about that right now. That story that you've written these past 11 years is something really to be proud of.
Makes me a little emotional.
Hey Jimmy, how big was for you this to be part of that transition when Ed Reed and Ray Lewis was kind of like retiring and you walking in? How influenced you?
I mean, I'm blessed just to have been their teammates for 2 years and win a Super Bowl with them. They taught us a lot. When I first got here, I was telling Harbaugh, like, when I first got here, we had so many veterans and veteran leadership that Harbaugh didn't really have to say a lot. The guys already knew what to do, how to get it done, and like they kind of, I'm not gonna say he ran the team, but they kind of, they made sure that things were done the right way. And then it kind of moved over time, and Harbaugh started taking over. I forgot your question, to be honest. What happened?
These guys are great leaders.
How big of an influence was for you to be part of that transition with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, basically?
How important it was? Say it. Oh, I mean, it was, like I said, it's just dope to be around Hall of Famers. Like, Ed Reed was my safety. He got me beat on that one play.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Quick story. I think you remember this too. Quick story is Ed Reed's the man, number one. Two is we played Deshaun Jackson, and at Philadelphia, that Bernard Pollard got his ribs broke. We play them in Philadelphia, and Ed's freaking smart. He knows everything's coming. He sees the cut split Deshaun. He says, double move. He looks at me. He goes, hey, bite on it. And I'm like, okay. And Deshaun runs a terrible double move, like to the point where it's like I had to fake it. I like kind of whipped at it. And he ends up taking up the sideline. Ed spins, and he's like literally one step away from the pick. Deshaun catches it. I'm like diving. And I just looked up, and I looked straight at him. I looked at him. He's in the sideline like, bring your ass here now. I was like, oh, what happened? I guess that's not the best Ed Reed story, but they were great players.
What does today mean to you? This is kind of a moment that not every player gets, but to have this moment, to have teammates here, family here, what does this day mean to you?
I mean, it's huge. It's something I never really thought about, to be honest. To be able to retire as a Raven, for you guys to even come out and ask me questions about it, like, most people just hit the Facebook quote and I'm done, and, that's it. So this is huge, but this also shows you what type of organization is here, what type of organization they have. Like, they truly love their players. They really care about it, and they set us up for this.
When you reminisce on your career, who you envisioned when you were lined up on the field that you enjoyed your battles with?
I enjoyed my battles against Antonio Brown the most. But everybody in our division, I mean, good battles is good battles. Depends on the day. It could be some scout team guy just got brought up that is giving me the work today, because that's the day, you know. But I just enjoy competing. I was more of a competitor than anything else. And there was just days that, you know, you'd have the best day of all time, and then there's days that, whoa, things are not going my way. DeAndre Hopkins, Monday night. Be like that.
All right. As your